Hey everybody, um, I'm here. I'm happy to see Margot and Linda and Dangerous Freedom here. I can always count on you people to be here with me. You know, you never know on these live streams how many people you're going to get. It takes a minute for my um comment count. There he goes. Nope, it ain't moved yet. Anyway, it takes a minute for my chat count to go up. So, uh, as always, I'll take a little time and I'll slow down, and then I begin to try to gather people in here. It's showing three. I guess I'll make four, but it would be nice to have 10 before I get started. But I got a lot to talk about. And most of the people that come in here already know all this information. So I guess what I'm doing is I'm putting this information out there for those who will view the replay. It says that I have 7.2, I think, non-subscribers looking at my stuff. So maybe some of that 7.2% will see this part, and maybe it'll mean something to them and help them. It's going to take a while. We've got 5 now, but we have to gather everybody in, and to the people who'll see this on the replay. If you're not a subscriber, I ask you to subscribe. Hit the like button, hit the comment, leave me a comment. I love my comments. I always read my comments, and hit the bell icon, and you'll know when I'm going live. I go live 3 nights a week, plus Sunday morning at 11 a.m. with a Bible study. My PayPal information will be somewhere in the chat. I don't worry about my PayPal. Believe me, um, anything that you want to donate would be greatly appreciated. But that's not a prerequisite to be a member of my family and be on my channel. So I'm not asking you to donate, but if you feel like you should, then it'll be somewhere in the chat. I don't really worry about that kind of thing. I've had an internet number for a while, and I'll tell you, I've had problems with it. Uh, I've been putting up the number, which is 404 900 1777, but I'm going to do away with that number, and maybe Friday, I'll give you the new number that I'll have if you want to call, because I've had a lot of people call this number and it doesn't ring in, but yet, um, you know, you ring in on your end, but not on mine. So we got to put a stop to that. This internet number that I have now only works if I'm here in the house and I have Wi-Fi. It only works on Wi-Fi. So that's probably the problem. We're going to go back to a hard line number. So we'll get that took care of. Let's see. I'll be back Friday night at 8 p.m. And on Sunday, the 8th, I'll have DM and History B. DM and History B will be with me Sunday night. DM and History B also goes live on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Knight's Armory is at Saturday, 10 p.m. And he's also Saturday and Sunday mornings. So check him out. Disabled Vets Perspective, 7 p.m. on Sundays. And he has a couple of other times that he goes live, so check him out. Disabled Vets Perspective. Alex is a great guy. I think he has something going on. I know he does Sunday night at 7, but I think he has something going on Tuesday nights as well. So 11 a.m. Sunday, we'll have a Bible study. And we're going to have the Dangerous Deplorables Sunday night. And as long as DM and History B are okay with it, Dangerous Freedom and I will do a show with History B and DM. Remember Pete the Patriot? Tony Patriot. You always got to check him out. American Warhorse. I've already said DM&B, Disabled Best Perspective, California Critic, Liberty Smith, Sandra Ann McGibbon. She goes by S.A. McGibbon now. An American Joe Show, Stony Stone, and the Inglorious Patriots. Well, we're not doing very well at getting people in here tonight. That's sort of disheartening. I guess after everything that's gone on over the weekend, with I guess it's just one of those things. But we're going to get started. I'm not gonna whine about it too much, because what I've got to put out there, I've got to put out, and I'm going to put it out in the best way that I can. I researched this 5G stuff, and that's what this video is going to be about. We're going to start off with the truths of 5G. And the thing about it is you could go so deep into this 5G stuff that you could just get swamped in it. So what I did was I just skimmed the surface, and I got all kinds of information. So I just want to relay this to you. This is the latest information that I could find. So just be aware of 5G. I don't believe nowhere in my script do I have it that when they put out this 5G thing, every 500 feet, they have to put a receiver transmitter. So every 500 feet, they're going to be putting them on every telephone pole, say 5 telephone poles between each one, whatever 500 feet comes out to. They're going to have a receiver transmitter, receiver transmitter, receiver transmitter, receiver transmitter. And when they get out of the cities, and see, that's what they're doing, is they're hitting these major urban areas. They're wanting to go into these, into Atlanta, Chicago, Houston, Austin, LA. They want to go into all of these compacted cities, and that's where they want to start putting their 5G, because that's where they can gain the most control. In time, they're going to come out into the rural areas, and they're going to be putting them on pine trees. And if your house just happens to be in the right place, they'll put it on the side of your house, and there's nothing you can do about it. When they roll this stuff out, it's going to be something like you've never seen. They're going to roll it out, even though tests have shown it's dangerous. 5G, without a doubt, is dangerous. And we need to understand that. I'm not going to be one of these people wearing a foil, a tinfoil hat, to stop we get enough radiation off of our phones when we hold it up to our head. We get radiation off of our microwaves. We're already killing ourselves with radiation. Why do we want to make it easy and possible to multiply that by 1,000? Why would we want to do that? Well, the truth about 5G is simply this. 5G in reality is a soup of electro-smog, and that's all it is. You hear about the smog in LA and all this kind of stuff. Well, think of that blanket over LA and smog, and think of that as being 5G over LA. Now you see where I'm talking. So it's going to be a smog over Atlanta, Chicago, Austin, Salt Lake, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco. There's going to be a smog of this 5G that's just permeating everything. Because with 5G, even though you can direct 5G, See, they have the capability of taking 5G and they can actually direct it. Say there's a receiver just down the street. They know that I'm a gun guy. They know that I do these American flags and the Betsy Ross flags behind me, and that's just the way I do it. So maybe they want to take me out. All they got to do is direct that thing my way, and they can burn me from within. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. As 5G is bombarding all the common people, but they know nothing. They know nothing about the dangers of this electric smoke. 5G will cause the U.S. They will cost us everything. 5G will destroy America when it takes full effect. We'll see it within the cities, and you're going to see people acting a whole lot different. The U.S. is leading the way on 5G, but they say nothing of the dangers of this technology. 5G can cause single and double DNA strand breaks. Did you hear what I said? We're talking DNA now. 5G can cause single and double DNA strand breaks. Disruptions of cell metabolism. Melatonin reduction. Disruption of brain glucose metabolism and generates protein stress, as well as being a 2B carcinogen. So now this is what 5G says. 5G it disrupts the cell metabolism. It stops melatonin. And your brain glucose just is not working. That's what really scares you, is when it says it's a 2B carcinogen. The biggest concerns of 5G is how it affects our skin. See, now that's what's going to be the real problem, because we humans have between 2 and 4 million sweat ducts. Now, I know you're going to say, where in the heck is he going with that? Well, where the heck I'm going is right here. So pay attention for just a minute. I know it sounds stupid, but we have 2 to 4 million sweat ducts, and we act like an array of helical antennas when exposed to 5G. See, 5G affects water. So now you have all these sweat ducts. So what's going to be affected? It's going to hit your sweat ducts. It's going after the water. We're 90% water. We humans are 90% water. By using these helical antennas, we're exposed to 5G. This means that we become conduits of 5G radiation. Our bodies, our sweat ducts, will be attacked by 5G without them doing anything to attack any individual. This is just a reciprocal, reoccurring thing that's going to happen with 5G. Studies show that 5G waves penetrate our skin, and more than 90% of transmitted power is absorbed in the epidermis and the dermis layers. It affects our skin. The skin is the dermis and the epidermis. The epidermis is the outside, the dermis is the inside, and then you get into the muscles and arteries and the tendons and the ligaments and the veins and all that stuff. But leave it enough to say that it's going to affect our skin. You know, 5G power transmission also causes physical pain as our Neo, this is crazy because it's, you know, I'm not a scientific guy, but it says uh, receptors. They flare up in recognition of the waves as damaging stimulus. So now the possibilities of skin, it's just amazed. The whole thing happens when this 5G hits your skin, all of your sweat ducts and all of your pores react, and your skin turns against you, and it turns into skin cancer, it turns into pain, and it turns into lesions on the skin, and it's very painful, and it's inevitable if you're very close to these transmitters. But you know, might be even worse is our eyes are affected by this low level millimeter microwave radiation. You know, 5G is known to cause cataracts in human subjects. 60 gigahertz millimeter wave antennas can handle and cause thermal injuries of varying types and levels. The thermal efforts by the millimeter waves can penetrate into the eye far below the surface of the eye. So you see, now it's not just affecting our skin, it's affecting our eyes. 5G is also known to cause a great impact on the heart rate. Variability indicates that stress causing arrhythmias. You see, these stress causing arrhythmias, a lot of people don't know. A cardiac arrhythmia is an irregular heartbeat of many different types. Arrhythmias simply mean that you are not in a normal sinus rhythm heartbeat, which is what we all are at unless something happens to our bodies. So we're all in a normal sinus rhythm unless you have a heart defect, you have a pacemaker, you have all that. So we need to understand that we all have these problems, but 5G is going to affect these. It's going to make it worse. Whatever your arrhythmia might be, it's going to make it worse. And I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of people die from heart arrhythmias because that can be a number of things. Arrhythmias is just a overshadowing name for all kinds of heart disease, all kinds of heart failure, all kinds of heart attacks. So just be aware. 5G is said to affect the water. See, now that's where it all comes in. The water. See, we're made of water. 90% of us is made of water. That's why it attacks our sweat ducts and our pores where we sweat. But you know, it's also cell plasma, membrane, and genome are affected as well. 5G interaction with bacteria alters their cell sensitivity to many different biological active chemicals, to include all antibiotics, leading to antibiotic resistant bacteria. This shall be a major concern to see how when seeing how when our cells are vulnerable to 5G radiation and we as a people become more vulnerable. Are we going to wait till then? I'll be honest with you. I get stuff in the mail all the time about upgrading my phone to 5G. Look, I'm not looking. It's bad enough that I use my phone as much as I do. And I'm on it a lot, but I try to keep it away from me and I use headphones. I don't hold it up to my head. But still, I use the microwave. I hit my little number, whatever it is I want the time to be, and I walk away from it. I don't stand right by the microwave and get zapped all the time. I mean, I have enough problems just dealing with my own self every day to not have everything that's part of me disrupted by microwaves. And that's all this is. You know, we operate at 2.4 hertz. And when you take something and you boost it, and they're saying from 60 to 600 hertz. I mean, come on, at 60 hertz, we're 58 times above what we should be operating at as far as, the gigahertz that are hitting us all the time. And, even with 4G, we have a lot of problems. That's where the cell phone comes in. Don't hold it up to your head because it's emitting radiation. And now they're going to 5G and going from 2.4 hertz to 60 hertz. This is crazy, people. It's crazy. We see that 5G has been proven to affect plants. And the water. It affects the water. But humans and animals, of course, consume plants and water, and that leaves us with unsafe food and water. We don't even realize it. Think about the GMOs on steroids causing harm to plants even more so than to humans. Most people have no idea that 5G affects our atmosphere, our fossil fuels, our satellites will be deployed in space with use of a new hydrocarbon rocket engine. See, they've already got this stuff figured out. Literally hundreds, if not thousands, in this fleet of suborbital rockets emit black carbon. So you see, they're going to kill us one way or the other. We have to have satellites in the sky in order for 5G to work. Ain't that crazy? It only goes 500 feet, but it's got to shoot to the sky. So we got these satellites in space, and they're all emitting black carbon, which is the worst carbon that you can emit into our atmosphere. Black carbon causes great changes in our global atmosphere circulation and affects our ozone and our temperature. So now we have black carbon being emitted by these satellites that are going to have to be in space in order for 5G to work. We must not turn a blind eye on the dangers of 5G. We need to do is look at nature because they have the answers. Birds are losing their feathers. And they have trouble, going from here to there. They fly like they're confused. They have reduced survival, and their death rate from 5G is explosive. But it's not just the birds having problem with 5G radiation. The bee population is declining due to EMF radiation. EMF radiation reduces a queen's bee ability to lay eggs, which in turn reduces the colony strength. And only 2 examples of this colony exist. It's important for us to know that 5G will be pulsed millimeter waves carrying information, but pulsed waves are much stronger and they have a profound biological effect on our bodies. And see, that's the problem with 5G. Pulse waves are known to cause gene toxicity and DNA strand breaks. I don't know about you, but the last thing I want to do is have my DNA strands starting to break just because there's a 5G transmitter 500 feet from my house. You know, the idea of 5G is nothing brand new. They've been doing this stuff for decades. They've been planning anything that you see on any sci-fi channel, believe me, they already have. They already have everything because they're going to show you what they have. That's what these demons do. They show you what they have, and you're seeing it in a sci-fi movie, and you're going, oh my God, there's no way in the world that this could ever happen. Well, my friends, I want to tell you, if you've ever seen it on sci-fi, look for it. It's coming. It may not be today or tomorrow, but it's coming. You'll see it. I'm an old man, and I'm going to tell you, I've seen things happen on this earth that I could never explain. I could never tell you a story that you would ever believe because some of my experiences have been so crazy. But the fact remains, we're here about 5G. Doesn't matter what my experiences were in the past. I'm worried about what our experiences in the future are going to be. And by having a desire to look ahead and to see what's happening is the only way we're going to save ourselves from 5G. You know, there's an urgent need to evaluate the 5G health risk and the effects before this ends up ruining all of us. You know, millions of people, as well as plants and animals, and our water is at stake here, simply from putting 5G receivers and transmitters. Remember when I mentioned the satellites? So the plan is to beam highly penetrative 5G millimeter waves of radiation at us from space. See, now they have these satellites up there. And you know, if you've got transmitters and receivers every 500 feet, well, then there's no need for satellites. So why do they have these 5G satellites in the sky? Because that is where the danger will come from, other than to the birds and the plants and the water and to us that we're already receiving from these 5G transmitters. So now they have the ability up in the sky to take us down. They can attack an entire city. I don't know what their capabilities are. Go watch a sci-fi movie, and then you'll know what they're capable of. Because anything that they can do, they show you. See, that's the law of the demon world. They can't do anything without telling you what they're doing. It's just they make it so absurd that you can't believe it, so you don't connect the two. And that's what we do. We don't connect the dots, and we need to. You know, this has to be the greatest folly ever conceived by man. There's nowhere to hide, no place to be safe, and no one will be safe because they can target you from those satellites anywhere you might be. So I'm done with 5G. And we're going to try to get through this in Dangerous Freedom. Margot Dalgreen, I want to thank y'all for being here. We've got 17, which is, you know, I'd hope for more, but hey, what can you expect on a Wednesday night? But I got 30 minutes left, and I'm probably going to rant for the next 30 minutes. So if you don't want to hear me rant, go ahead and leave because I want to talk about the SNAP system. Oh, but before I do, my brother Dangerous Freedom requested I have to show you my new member of my family. Let me get rid of the clip first. This is my new pistol. Smith & Wesson M&P 9C. And Dangerous Freedom asked me to do this. It is not loaded. Okay. That's the laser. You can see when it hits my hand. All you have to do is squeeze the pistol grip. My finger's nowhere near the trigger. Pretty cool gun. So anyway, boom. That's my new carry. I was looking at the stuff in my wallet the other day, and I thought I had a concealed carry permit, and I realized that it expired 2 years ago. I guess I got my years messed up, so I went this week and I got my concealed carry permit again. So we're back online. We just gotta wait for the hard copy to get here in the mail. But Dangerous Freedom, that was for you. That's a great little gun, Smith & Wesson 9. I really like that laser. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about the SNAP program. Today, and it's going to be a really short one page. Then I got something to say. Today we have over 36 million people on SNAP. That's food stamps. 36 million people on food stamps. Americans are generous people who believe it's a responsibility to help our fellow citizens who encounter a difficult time. And that's true. That's what we do. We're good to our people. But we need to encourage people by giving a helping hand, but not to allow it to be a forever giving handout. And you see, that's what happened. When LBJ, back in, I think it was 1964, signed the Welfare Act, he made it possible for women to make more money if the man was out of the house. See, that Welfare Act that LBJ threw it out there as a demon rat, threw it out there to these black people, knowing that money talks. You throw money at them and they're going to do whatever you want. LBJ said, I signed this Welfare Act. These, and I'm not going to say the word, will vote Democrat for the next 200 years. That's what he said. LBJ, the successor and the murderer of JFK. But you know, federal law limits able-bodied adults without minor children to 3 months of food stamps in a 36-month period. I've never had food stamps. I tried one time. I cut my finger off, and it took me a while to heal. And I went down and I talked to the people, and they said, well, you can have $28 a month. Well, I had 2 little girls at home plus a wife. And I said, $28 a month is not going to feed my kids. Well, you should have saved. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, you made plenty of money the last 2 years. You should have saved something. Well, it just so happened that I'd went in business for myself, and I just was trying to get started, and I got injured. So, yeah, so I was making no money. And boom, $28 a month for a family of four. I told her to keep her money, and I sold everything I had. I sold the TV, I sold the furniture, I sold my tools, I sold my car, I sold everything to feed my kids. So, yeah, I don't want to hear about the SNAP program. I don't want to hear. I don't know. I don't want to hear how these people are abusing our system. I'm not even going to read that next. Because I'll tell you what, I'm going to get right to the nitty gritty when it comes to SNAP. If you're able to work and you're drawing SNAP and you don't have children, minor children, at home with you all the time, you need to work. You need to pay by your labor or volunteering somewhere. But 20 hours a week, 80 hours a month, that's not too much to ask for free food for your entire family. Let me tell you something. I, I have a pension check, and I'm going to tell you right now that it is nothing, but I make it work. I have more of what I want because I know how much money that I can spend. So I plan it out. I don't just go buy a new gun. I don't just go buy it. That's a several month process. I don't have the money to go out and buy guns like these. It's a process. I pay a little now and a little then and a little now until it's paid off. But I will maintain my weapons. And I'm going to tell you, this SNAP program is to the point. It is to the point that it is so abused. I am just a old man living in Dallas, Georgia, and I know of at least 7 people who have been drawing SNAP funds, getting free food for 20 years. And they didn't deserve it. Here's what kills me. As long as a woman with a child says that there's no man in the house, they get SNAP funds, no questions asked. Even if the husband is living in the house. Get this. I have one niece. She was not only using SNAP for her 2 kids, she had all of them on Medicaid. And guess what else? Her husband was on Medicaid because he moved back home, but he was out of work. So they didn't look at him. They just added to the food. So now she says he's home and not working. And the whole time he owns a remodeling business. Come on, give me an ever loving break. He's got 5 or 6 employees and he's drawing SNAP funds because he doesn't have a job, because he works under the table. Do you see how these people do this? This is sickening. I've got other, oh my Lord, I hate to admit it. I've got several other so-called family members that are into this SNAP thing. I'm going to tell you, I've wiped my hands of most of them. I mean, I've got a niece. Her husband does heating and air. That's great money. Okay, he does heating and air. She is a court reporter. She goes in, but she works for an attorney, so she does it through depositions and things instead of court. But then she goes home and she does all this shorthand stuff. And so, anyway, she's making good money. They both are. But they're still getting food stamps because she's reporting no income in the house. Why? Why? My 88-year-old mother called her out on it today. She called today to talk to my 88-year-old mother that I love beyond all people. She's as smart as a whip. As long as her body don't give up, she's going to do just fine. But anyway, she called. My niece called my mom, and my niece is one of those people who lies every other breath. Everything she says is a lie, so she's going to drag it out for as long as she can. Talks forever. And my mom flat told her, she brought it up. She said, I just can't stand people who take welfare when they don't deserve it. And so in my own family, I've got so many people. That's why I stopped doing Christmases. I stopped doing Thanksgiving. I don't do any kind of 4th of July with my family anymore. And since everybody came here to my house, so I could cook for everybody, and my mom could get in the kitchen and fix all of the other stuff, and they would come and eat and be happy and gay and leave, and there I got the cleanup. And enough's enough. Look, I'm not here to feed people who are eating T-bone steaks 3 times a week and I'm eating bologna sandwiches. That's not the way it's supposed to be. I did my 7 years in the military. I worked my butt off for 30 years in the workforce. And I'm grateful for what I got. I mean, I make ends meet. I don't hurt for anything. I don't have much extra. So that's why I have to plan when I buy my weapons or buy ammo. I have to plan it out so that it fits my budget at that time. But it doesn't matter. I'm not here to plead my case. I just want you to know that I love you. And if any of y'all are on food stamps, I'm not necessarily talking about you if you deserve it, but you have to remember that there comes a time of reckoning, and we need to stand up. And if this is the only stuff that Trump gets passed, this would be a great success. He's not going to do anything on abortion. He's not going to do anything on the Second Amendment. Hopefully, he'll do something here. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I'll tell you, I was a little bit concerned being a Wednesday night, but I wanted to talk real quick. Did you hear about what Trump did today? He went on live TV there in London, and he was talking about shift. And so yesterday from London, President Trump didn't hold back much when talking about shifty little Adam Schiff. President Trump called him a maniac, a deranged human being who grew up with a complex for lots of reasons that are obvious. I would suggest his eyes, his nose, his mouth. Well, heck, just him. He said, I think he's a very sick man and he lies. So thank you, Donald Trump, for that. It's always good. It's funny. It's funny how they did that. Donald Trump, like I said a while ago, he was there ready to go a year ago. He knew he was going this week. And yet, that's when they wanted to have the hearing in the Senate. Ain't that something? They say it doesn't matter. Trump's got it well in hand. The White House will not participate in these Judiciary Committee impeachment hearings scheduled for December 4th. We are ensnarled in a process against our president that is unfair and unacceptable to we American patriots. What they're doing to our president is wrong. It's been wrong from the very beginning. How long are we going to sit here? How long are we just going to wait? I guess we'll wait until we're called. Believe me, I wish to harm nobody, and I don't want to get harmed. So if anybody's watching this, don't go there, because that's not what I'm doing. You know, we're ensnarled in this process against our president, and it is unfair, and it is unacceptable. Under the current circumstances, President Trump is right not to participate in this Nadler witch hunt on the heels of the Schiff fiasco. You know what a joke that was. Come on. It's no coincidence that Dems should play this charade, during President Trump's appointment to attend the NATO leaders in London, as I said just a minute ago. But we have Representative Doug Collins, and he's requested that Nadler provide the Republicans with an equal process and procedures used in the Clinton impeachment. So now we have two impeachments to look at. We can look at Nixon, we can look at Clinton. The same thing happened in both instances. So now why is it different? Because it's President Trump. So because the Democrats can change the rules as they go. If they don't like what you're doing, well, they'll just stop it. That's why they gave the Democrats three witnesses and gave the Republicans one. So you have to realize it's an uneven playing field. It always has been. It always will be, and it's only getting worse. This is nothing but a charade. That's all it is. But Representative Doug Collins requested that Nadler provide Republicans with equal process and procedures as used in the Clinton impeachment. There's nothing wrong with that. The president has rights under the law to participate in his own defense, and now President Trump has been denied due process by the socialist, progressive, Satanist, statist, pedophiles, and pedivores in our government. And if you don't believe that we've got all of those people in our government, you've got your head in the sand. Because I'm going to tell you, we've got every single one of those people in our government, and they're not ashamed of what they're doing. They put it right in our faces all the time. In a true judicial proceeding where there's a due process, the prosecutor and judge cannot be the same person. So here we go again. First we had Schiff, judge, jury, prosecutor. All right, now we've got Nadler doing the exact same thing. But it's exactly what the Schiff Nadler have always done. These two low lifeline scumbags have made themselves judge, prosecutor, and jury. And this is not a case of separation of powers as laid out by law, but instead it's a farce and a scam on the American people. It's a scam on us. These demon rats, they're all buying into this and they're loving it because they're all of the same cloth. You have to understand. I talked to Liberty Smith and Dangerous Freedom and several other people the last couple of days. And I'll tell you what, it's got to the point with these demon rats that they're all so evil. How can they not be demon possessed? I mean, come on. It's not just this impeachment stuff. And this is totally crazy. Lies, cons, cheating, changing the rules, making it benefit you and not the other side. I mean, what more evil could there be than to be so one-sided? Not to allow the other side the same thing that you have. That's evil. That's saying, no, it's for me and not for you. And that's what's going to happen. It's all going to come down to the good and evil here. Eventually, it's going to happen. We patriots, we know that Schiff and Nadler have no credibility due to contact with unnamed whistleblowers who started this whole charade. Come on. You know, if Schiff doesn't make himself available for questioning, and he should, they should demand that he be the first witness in front of the Senate when they decide impeachment on President Trump. Get him in there, and then Nadler, then Pelosi. Let's get them all in there. Let's get all these liars and these cons, cheats, and thieves. Let's get them all inside. But you know, if Schiff doesn't make himself available for questioning, it would only reflect poorly on his credibility. How could anything affect his credibility more poorly than what he's already done? Come on. Y'all know he read a lie. He read a false transcript to the American people from his chairmanship chair sitting there in Congress. He told the American people, the public, he told the news media, everybody, that it was a letter that he had intercepted. It was the transcript, and it was a lie. And then he says, oh, it was a parody. No, it wasn't a parody. He knew he was going to get called on it, but he had to put it out there. He had to do that because he had to fire up his base. Believe it or not, he does have followers. You know, it's a crying shame that we have people like this in our government. And I'm not just blowing Representative Collins's horn, but I'll tell you what, Representative Doug Collins is a fine man, even he is from Georgia. And he claims that Schiff has withheld documents relevant to the inquiry. If Schiff has such a great case against President Trump, then let us have all the materials which make up this farce. This is an unfairness as proven when it comes to the Wednesday hearing. The Dems are calling 3 expert witnesses, but the Republicans are allowed to call only 1. Now, how lopsided is that? How lopsided are we going to let it be? We got to stop this, people. We can't allow our Congress and our Senate to just go crazy. You know, they prove once again that the Dems only want one thing, and that is to impeach President Trump in a kangaroo court led by these demon rats, and they want to overturn the 2016 election before 2020. See, you get into 2020, they're going to have a hard time getting rid of him. They're already going to have a hard time getting rid of him. They just don't understand it. In no way, shape, or form do these people understand, because they're demon rats. I mean, come on, let's look at it straight up. The demon rats want you on food stamps. The demon rats want to give you free care. The Democrats want to give you free school. They want to give you loan forgiveness. They want to give you housing. They want to give you a car, just like everybody else's. They want to give you a house, just like everybody else's. They want to give you clothes, just like everybody else's. This is what they want. You see, the demon rats only know one thing, and that is power. And power corrupts. And absolute power corrupts absolutely. But the thing about it here is there is absolute corruption in our government when it comes to the demon rats. I'm not saying that there are not some corrupt Republicans. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the demon rat population in our Congress that are demon possessed. They're led by some evil force, because only that kind of thing could happen to corrupt a man's mind so far to where they say these evil lying things that they say. How can they look in the camera and say these things, knowing that they are a liar, a con, a thief, and a chief, and everybody knows it, but yet they still do it? Where does their power come from? They've got a source within themselves that make them oblivious to the truth. I don't understand how it works. I really don't. I've watched Schiff. I've watched Pelosi. Come on, Skeletor Pelosi, give me a break. I've watched her. I've watched Schiff. I've watched Schumer. And I've watched several other demon rats that I really don't even know their names. But the thing about it is, they all say the same thing. But yet we have those like Doug Collins that's calling them out on this. And we can stand strong with our president. 2020 is coming up. There's nothing we can do about what's happened over the last 3 years. It's water under the bridge. But here we are in 2020. And we must stand up for President Trump. No matter what we're doing, no matter where we're at or where we're going, we need to support this man. We need to support our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. Every single one of them, the first, the second, all the way to the end. We have to remember that we are the American patriots. We are the front line. We are the front line of defense for this nation. We don't have to worry about anything or anybody. What we need to worry about is what are we going to do if and when it all hits the fan. We have to be prepared. I'm not a prepper, but I do have food stored, water, ammo. Oh, by the way, when I bought my new Smith & Wesson 9, I also bought 500 rounds because my carbine shoots 9mm rounds. There, now you can see it. So yeah, so I bought 500 rounds. So when I go out to visit my dear friend Dangerous Freedom in Arizona this spring, I'll have my concealed carry permit, and it's good all the way across the southern United States until I get to Arizona, and it's good there. So I can carry all of my weapons, and we can have a good time, and we're going to do a whole lot of shooting. I'm going to tell you, I'm looking forward to it. I've met some great people on YouTube. There's just a few American Warhorse, Liberty Smith, but Dangerous Freedom and I connected months ago when he won some silver bars that I was giving away. And I'll tell you, we've developed a friendship that goes far beyond just being friends and brothers. So we're going to get together. I'm going to drive out to Arizona, and we're going to see each other next spring. So time's winding down. I've got 1 minute. I want to thank you all for coming. Friday night, 8 o'clock, and I'll see you here. I hope everything is great. I want you all to be happy, be safe. You know, Uh, we just got to wait and see what's going to happen in the news because things are really slow right now. So it's 9 o'clock. I'm going to get out of here. Somebody else is coming on right behind me. I love you. Thank you for being here. My name's Deplorable Bobby. This is the way I see it. We will see you Sunday night at 8 p.m. Dangerous Deplorables with History B and DM. So, Sunday morning Bible study. We'll see you then. God bless.